Hey everyone, Tin Man here, and we've had the new jail system in Dota Underlords for about a week now, and that's been time to gather data and figure out how that banning algorithm works. I saw some posts on Reddit the past day discussing this in more detail, and I want to kind of make a video to share with you guys what they've found and kind of give my thoughts on that matter. A lot of credit here goes to Lopeden12, who compiled some of the initial data, as well as dotasopher, who ran some simulations. So, based on the information that we have on the 1 week of bannings, I'll spare you the details, but essentially the algorithm that we figured out is it picks a random hero from the pool and adds it to the banned list. And then it removes all heroes that share an alliance with that first hero from the pool. So even though it says that you can, in theory, ban multiple units of the same type, say 2 warriors, and still allow the 6 warrior bonus to be completed, that doesn't actually seem to be the case. Over the past week, we have not ever seen an alliance shared between 2 separate units in the ban pool. We've never seen 2 units of the same type banned. And then it will repeat that process until there are 8 heroes on the ban list. And that has some interesting implications. So dotasopher here ran a Monte Carlo simulation, which is basically just doing this over and over again 100 million times on a computer, and then just figuring out the statistics based on raw data rather than doing any kind of mathematical modeling. Just get a simulation in there. And the results are pretty striking. We see the ban chance for every hero per day as a percentage, and you may be wondering, well, why is this all so different percentages? We see Abaddon with 10.53%, but Alchemist, who also just has 2 alliances, at 9.41%, Antimage at 9.61%, and so on. We see some extreme outliers as well. Bloodseeker is on average going to be banned on 20.69% of days, whereas on the opposite extreme, we've got Lycan. Where's he at? Lycan, who's only going to be banned 5.37. That's almost 4 times less likely to ban Lycan than we are to ban Bloodseeker. And every other unit in the game kind of falls somewhere between there, but kind of hovering around this 9 to 10% mark, whereas some units like Omni Knight have a lower mark, and some units with kind of rarer alliances, such as Shadow Shaman, is a little bit higher, or Techies as well. And this has a lot of interesting implications, because the reason that somebody like Bloodseeker is banned so heavily is he has very few units that he's connected to by an alliance. There's very few Deadeyes and there's very few Bloodbounds. There's only actually 4 others other than Bloodseeker, which means whenever the algorithm goes to pick the first hero that they're going to pick, they pick a random hero, it says, well, I'm going to find, say, a warrior. You just randomly land on a warrior. That warrior gets banned. Say it's Juggernaut. You ban Juggernaut. Every other warrior gets taken out of the pool of possible bans. So no other warrior can be banned that day, and neither can any other Brawny. That's a big chunk of units taken out of the pool. So if Juggernaut gets randomly selected, that means Kunkka's not going to get banned. That means Axe is not going to get banned. That means all of the other warriors and Brawnies are not going to get banned on that day. You just have Juggernaut take the fall for everybody. The problem is, a unit like Bloodseeker, who has very few units that are similar to him, or share an alliance rather, there's nobody to take the fall for Bloodseeker, so every single time they pick a random hero, he's probably going to be in the pool. Whereas the other Bloodbound, such as Mr. Warlock, can get saved by having another Warlock band, or Ogre Magi can get saved by having another Mage band, and that just leaves Bloodseeker alone and never getting removed from the pool other than by being banned. And on the flip side, we see units like Lycan, of course, who has 3 very common alliances. He's got Human, he's got Savages, he's got Hunters. There are a lot of Humans, there are a lot of Savages, there are a lot of Hunters, which means the only way Lycan gets banned is if he is the first one picked out of those 22, I think, total units. And that's just fairly unlikely. It should be about 1 out of 20 something, which is kind of what we see in this odds, is about 5%. So it's somewhere in that range, whereas the Bloodseeker is going to be in the pool every single time that random comes up. I think this has a lot of implications, and I think in some way this feels unfair to a lot of people. And because it really punishes certain strategies, Bloodseeker and Bloodbound Deadeye being one of them. We've seen Bloodseeker banned, I think it's been 3 times in the past week. And we also see a very high percentage on Some of the other units that are very common, the Scrappies, like Alchemist has he's not very high because he also has a Warlock tag to protect him, but Clockwork has 13.46, and I think this is the identical number for all of the other ones who share his exact same tags, with Timbersaw, Tinker, and Techies. They all have this 13.46%, which is certainly above average. And that kind of means that, hey, these strategies are going to be very hard to compete. And we've known this all this past week, that for some reason, there always seems to be either Clockwork, Timbersaw, Techies, Tinker, always banned every day. And because this alliance is so small and so insular, there's not too many branches outside of Scrappies to other things. I mean, there's just like Alchemist and like Bounty Hunter, really. There's no Scrappy mages, so no Scrappy knights to be protected by those bigger pools of units. It really makes these builds hard to complete because one of them is almost always going to be banned every single day because they don't get protected by something else getting banned. That strikes me, and I think a lot of other people, as wrong. I think if we are designing an optimal system, we would in theory have every single hero have an equal chance to be banned on any given day. Now, that's not exactly going to be possible if you want to ensure that every single alliance can be completed with every set of possible jails. Because, someday, if you just go purely by random chance, you're going to get multiple brutes banned. If you have more than one brute banned per day, then you can't complete the brute alliance to 4 brutes. And I think that would be a worse situation if someday, I literally cannot play 4 brutes today. It's not, I have to choose a certain unit. It's I cannot play it. I think that would be bad, and I think most people would agree with that. But we see this massive disparity. 4 times as much between Bloodseeker and Lycan, or we see Clockwork being banned at twice the rate of Omni Knight, for instance. I think that strikes me as wrong, and the way that I think we should fix that, and I'm not a computer programmer, I don't really know exactly if this is how the algorithm works for sure. That's just the speculation, or it's very likely to be true according to dotasopher here. I think what I'd like to see changed in this is instead of picking a random hero from the candidate pool and then removing all heroes that share an alliance, what we should do is we should pick a random hero, and then you should pick another random hero, and then check, does removing both of those invalidate any alliance? And now that might be computationally a little bit harder, but it's not like you need to run this a million times per day as fast as possible. If this algorithm takes an extra bit of time to run, then I don't think that would be too much of a problem. Once again, I'm not a programmer or developer, so I don't know for sure, but I wouldn't think just a check to say, does this make any alliance impossible? You just put in a check, say 4 brutes is like the minimum that needs to be in the pool, and if the algorithm says, hey, we have removed 2 brutes, this is an invalid ban, it just picks randomly again. And then it only removes that one thing that it already tested. So it won't ban 2 brutes in one day, but if it tries to, it'll just say, okay, let me try again, until it finds another unit that's a legal target to ban, rather than removing all things that share an alliance. So you will end up with times when you get 2 warriors banned, or 3 hunters even, because then you can still complete 6 hunters because there's 9 hunters in the game. That won't go completely down to even chances, I wouldn't think, because some units would still be, brutes, for instance, would probably have a lower ban rate just because they couldn't be banned multiples at a time, whereas hunters might have a little bit higher ban rate just because there's so many of them, same with warriors. But I think that would be fair. I think that would be acceptable because there are so many of those units, which kind of makes those strategies a little bit too powerful in the current meta. If you have 9 hunters available to you, there's just a lot of options to play hunters, and even if somebody else is competing for you on hunters, you'll still be able to find ones that are uncontested. So I'd like to see that adjustment made to this banning algorithm, and I hope that Valve takes that to heart and actually makes some adjustment, because we can see from just 1 week the way it's been going. And I totally am not faulting them for trying this out. This seems like a very logical algorithm until you actually see it in practice over the course of a week and run these simulations and realize that the numbers are a little bit out of whack. So hopefully we'll see that adjusted. I cannot guarantee that, but I hope that Valve is looking at this data and saying, yeah, these numbers are not in line with expectations, especially because they already disadvantage the harder to complete strategies and give even more advantage to the more prevalent strategies like hunters and warriors. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this interesting. I certainly did, and I'll definitely be monitoring this, hoping that they make some sort of adjustment in the near future. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.